much in the way. There is enough space between us to hold all that you are carrying, all you've been waking, wondering, worrying, or wearing out with confusion or attempts at control, trying to find some sense of normal. All of your irritability, your curiosity, your fragile sobriety, your numb disbelief, your loneliness, your exhaustion, your daily question, and your joy. We can hold that too. We can hold all of it here for this time and bless it. Here we will call each other just as we are, beloved. Here in this far apart space that is also close in, so much remains uncertain. With each passing breath, the ground is shifting. All we can say for sure is that we are caught in this tangled blessing of life, of grief and gratitude, together, like always, except more. With all the forces of spring and the spinning of the earth, we are turning and becoming and beginning again, offering ourselves like the crocus flower, breaking through with a wild beauty, ready for whatever comes next. Come, let us worship together. Welcome once again to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos, and thank you for welcoming us into your homes this morning for this worship by distance. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, at whatever time you are watching this, you are welcome as part of this community. Take this time now to pause and take a deep breath. Put away all your other distractions and make for this time a sacred space. Light your own chalice at home if you have it, or your candle. Let us be together in worship, even though we are separated by space. Let us be together now in a moment of prayer and reflection. Call to mind first all that has brought you joy this week, all that has lifted your heart and opened it. We light this candle for all our joys. We offer up to today everything that has brought you sorrow. Call to mind everything that has broken your heart or weighed it down. Share it with us now, even in the silence of your hearts, and know that we carry those with us as well. We light this candle for our sorrows. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together today grateful for this time out of time which we now set apart for ourselves so that we might become more fully present to our own self, to each other, to that which we name as holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. We give thanks this day for all of the gifts and all of the graces, no matter how large, no matter how small, that each of us has received this week. We rejoice today in the love that binds us together with those here with us now, with those we are separated from, with those who have come before us, and those who will follow. May we live our lives each day in ways that honor our commitment to our common humanity and that reflect a deep gratitude for those sacrifices made on our behalf and that we will make for each other. Give us the strength and the courage this day to speak our needs and give voice to our feelings. Keep us connected, Spirit, in the flow of your boundless love, that our own still breaking, still beating hearts may continue to be a channel for its transformative power. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
So this is the story of stone soup. Once upon a time, a wise old man decided to go on a journey. So he packed a small bag, said goodbye to his wife, and set off. He traveled all day without meeting anyone. When it was evening, he came to a small village. "I think I'll stop here for the night," he said to himself. Near the center of the village, he met a group of people. So he introduced himself. "I'm a simple traveler," he said, "looking for a safe place to sleep and a hot meal." "We'd be glad to offer you a place to sleep," the villagers told him. "But we have very little food. Our crops were very poor this year, and there's not much to eat in the whole village. Most of us are just barely getting by." "I'm sorry to hear that," the old man said, "but you needn't worry about feeding me. I already have everything I need. In fact, I was thinking of making some stone soup to share with all of you." "Stone soup?" the villagers asked. "What's that? We've never heard of stone soup." "Oh, it's wonderful," said the old man. "Best soup I've ever tasted. If you bring me a soup pot and some water, I'll make some for all of us." And so the villagers rushed back to their homes. When they returned, one was carrying a large soup pot, another had wood for a fire, and others brought water. When the fire was going and the water had begun to boil, the old man took out a small silk pouch. With great ceremony, he reached in and pulled out a smooth, round stone. He carefully dropped the stone into the boiling water. The villagers watched eagerly. The old man began to slowly stir the pot, sniffing the aroma and licking his lips in anticipation. "I do like a tasty soup," he said. "Of course, stone soup with cabbage. Now that's really special." "I might be able to find a bit of cabbage," one villager said, and off she went to her house, returning with a small cabbage she had stored away in her pantry. "Wonderful," said the old man as he added the cabbage to the pot. "This reminds me of the time I had stone soup with cabbage and a bit of salted beef. It was unbelievably good." After a moment of silence, the village butcher spoke up. "I know where there's a bit of salted beef," he said, and he went off to his shop to get it. When he returned, the old man added the beef to the soup pot and continued to stir. Can you imagine what this soup would taste like if we had spinach? And perhaps a few potatoes? A carrot or two. And some mushrooms. Oh, this would be a meal fit for royalty. And before he knew it, the soup pot was filled to the brim with vegetables of all kinds, carrots and potatoes, mushrooms and onions, squash, turnips and green beans, beets and celery, all brought by the people of the village. And as the soup simmered slowly over the fire, the wonderful aroma began to waft over the villagers, and they began to relax and talk together, sharing songs and stories and jokes. When the soup was finally done, the old man ladled it out into bowls. and they all shared a delicious meal together. There was more than enough for everyone to eat their fill. Afterward, they all declared that it was the best soup they had ever tasted. The mayor of the village pulled the old man aside and quietly offered him a great deal of money for the magic stone. But the old man refused to sell it. The next morning, he woke early and packed up his belongings. As he was leaving the village, he passed by a group of children playing at the side of the road. He handed the youngest one the silk pouch containing the stone. And he whispered, "It was not the stone that performed the magic. It was all of us together." And in times of not knowing, like right now, we can continue to offer our best to others with the hope of creating something new and good together. So, the intention table activity today is for you to find a rock and decorate your rock with paint or permanent marker. Write one thing you can offer to another person right now. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a note. I wrote on mine a gift card to a medical or grocery worker, right? So you can write and decorate your rock and what you're going to offer right now to somebody else, maybe in your family. And you will also find online, posted after this worship, the stone soup recipe and story in your email or on our Facebook page. And you can make a stone soup at your house with your family as well.
Two readings for you this morning. The first comes from Maryann McKibben Dana, a pastor and improviser living in Houston, from her book, God, Improv, and the Art of Living. Many years ago, I worked with a church in Houston's 3rd Ward, an economically depressed area of town. The neighborhood embodied a paradox so common in some urban neighborhoods of dignity mingled with despair. Although the people I met were proud of their neighborhood's history and culture and worked to make it better, without significant opportunities for economic advancement, it was an uphill climb. The local Episcopal church stood next to a liquor superstore, an example of the contradictions in the neighborhood. The door to the church office overlooked the side of the store, a bare wall that proved tempting for the young people in the area who frequently tagged it with graffiti. Both the business and the church fretted over the defacement and had gotten into an arms race with gangs. The wall was painted over numerous times, but the graffiti would return, the artists apparently grateful for the blank canvas. And on it went, world without end. Finally, the church decided to work with a local artist to design a mural for the wall. The store owners, out of ideas, went along with it. The artist's task was to make sure the resulting design incorporated the spray-painted tags, not highlighting them, but not hiding them either. Instead, they would be part of the overall image. After planning a design, the artist invited children from the church's day camp to help with the painting. If you knew what you were looking for, you could see the original graffiti within the crazy quilt of colors and patterns. According to folks at the church, the wall was a way to say, "We see you. We see the despair and the acting out. We aren't going to deny it. It's part of the story of the Third Ward. But we need to move past this conflict." The church realized that the graffiti was not a problem that could be easily solved. So instead, they reached out to embrace the community, even the parts of it that were destructive and tough to love. The church said yes. The church improvised. Incorporating graffiti into a mural may seem ill-advised. It's wrong to deface property. It sends the wrong message to let the vandalism remain there. Better to work with police to root out the culprits. And yet the church staff told me with pride that once the mural appeared, the wall was never defaced with graffiti again. In fact, the mural project became a much-needed bridge to the young people in the community. The church could not change what had happened. Instead, the people there accepted it as the place they needed to start, the reality as it was handed to them. They said yes. Our second reading comes from the Gospel of Luke in the Christian Scriptures. Looking up, Jesus saw rich people throwing their gifts into the collection box for the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow throw in 2 small copper coins worth a penny. He said, "I assure you that this poor widow has put in more than them all. All of them are giving out of their spare change, but she, from her hopeless poverty, has given everything she had to live on." One evening at our improv class, we were given an exercise that was a variation on one of Viola Spolin's classic theater games that was known as the spacewalk. Our instructor divided us up into trios to begin shaping the space that was between us in the center of the circle. Our task was to treat that space as a tangible stuff and build something together. Our challenge was that we could not speak to one another. We could only agree with and amplify each other's movements. The lead person in the trio would shift periodically as we built together, and it was up to us in the moment to decide who was leading and who was following. Our group started building low to the ground, laying a foundation and getting our feel for that stuff. My partner to the left began working that space upwards like clay on a potter's wheel, until together we had formed a pillar that came up to about our chest height. Maybe it's a pedestal, I thought to myself. And so I began to shape a rough blob of space stuff on top of it, waiting to see what form it was demanding to be. And as a trio, we worked that stuff on top of it, trying to feel a shape. And at some point, the lines between who was leading and who was following blurred, and we developed a group mind together. And that stuff on top of our pedestal took on the shape of a box, guided by all our hands. So now we had a box shape on top of a cylinder shape. But what was it exactly? We stepped back to examine our work and try to make some sense out of it. 3 art critics in a museum of invisible art. Finally, my partner to the right reached out towards the box and opened a door on one of its sides. And I smiled in realization, and I reached my hand in to take a book out of the little free library that we had just silently agreed to build together. And I opened the book and I began to read. The feeling at the end of that exercise was joyful. We stood in quiet a few moments longer and we just smiled at one another. Look what we just made. Cool move to make a little free library, I said to my partner. Oh, I didn't know that's what it was, she says. I just knew the box had a door. I didn't know it was the library until you reached in to grab the book. The question that seems to be on everybody's mind this week, all of your questions in my close network and the questions of people all across the country, is when will this moment we are in end? And how will it end? What will it look like when we come out the other side? And there have been a lot of attempts to answer that question this week. A lot of articles showing up online in all sorts of reputable locations with conjecture and predictions and models of the various possibilities for how we will get to the end and what it will look like and what we will be as a nation when we come out the other side. But the truth is, all of it is still conjecture and predictions and models, even by all of these people who know better than I do, who are experts in the field, who are smarter than me. None of them truly knows. It's all just a range of possibilities. We have all, in these last few weeks, stepped onto stage into a new scene that no one has ever performed before with no plan. We have been forced into a game of improvisation. How do we respond to this moment of no plan. It's terrifying, to be sure, to be caught on stage and not know what your lines are and not know where you are supposed to go and look around you and see that everything is falling down. The sets are crumbling. The lights are dim. How do we handle all of this? We could just try to keep painting over all the mess. Just try to start over again. Whitewash it. Ignore it. Or we could learn how to step into the flow of that moment, resolve to the fact that there is no plan and no clear picture of an outcome, and learn to be flexible. Realize that we have been tossed together in trios and quartets, but groups no larger than 5. Tossed together to build something new together. Something new that no single one of us has a clear plan for. This was the aha moment for me in that game of the spacewalk, that space forming we did in our trio. That each of us had something to contribute, and each of us had no idea what the final something was going to be. But that we were creating a new thing together that none of us planned for, out of the culmination of all of our gifts in the moment. There's no plan for how this moment ends. All there is to accept that we are building a new thing together right now. We don't know what it looks like. But if we accept the moment as it has been offered to us, if we accept the gifts of grace and love that come our way in this moment, if we accept these moments with a sense of gratitude for the chance we have been given to contribute to something new and to perhaps make a real difference, then we have a chance to make something new. All I can do now is add my own gift, to bring forth the best of what is in myself that I have to offer any of you in this moment. The best of my gifts of spirit, of heart, of mind. The best of what I have to offer of stuff, perhaps even. Offering up what I know is needed in that moment, no matter how small it might be. I'm already watching us do this these last few weeks. It's the wonderful thing about being connected to so many of you via social media. As we are isolated from one another, I am watching you give the best of yourselves to one another. And I'm watching people around the country give the best of themselves in this moment too. We know what to do, despite the fact that there is no plan. Now, it may seem that the best of what I have to offer in this moment hardly seems like it's enough. I can't cure diseases. I can't test vaccines. I'm not a health care worker. I have no money to move mountains or equipment anywhere. Most of what I have to give, most of what you have to give are small contributions, to be sure. Small contributions in our small spheres of influence. But what we can give within those spheres has a huge impact. Your gifts are enough in this moment. The least you have to offer is a great gift of wealth to the world. But it only matters if you offer them, if you stay in the scene despite the uncertainty, despite not having some sort of blueprint for how the end will turn out. And the truth is, there is no plan necessary, at least not on our part. The new thing we are creating together in this moment out of our gifts will be what it will be. But if we're offering our best, even amidst all the uncertainty and all of the sorrow, the new thing we are creating in the middle of all our gifts may yet bring us delight, if not an outright transformation of the world around us for the better. You have gifts to bring to the scene. You are a blessing. You are enough. May it continue to be so. Our tradition of giving away our offering continues even in this time of remote services. The month of March is dedicated to our new friends, Strong in Nature, a new nonprofit here in Los Alamos, dedicated to improving the lives of people who have suffered from sexual violence. The link to their organization can be found in the service notes below on our YouTube page. Please click on that link to learn more about them and to make a direct donation to them as well. And may what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with your community. And as we close, may life bless us and keep us. The light of life shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.